On February 27, 2025, a 71-year-old man walked away from his home near Mineral Wells, Texas, and did not come back. Within days, the FBI joined the search. Local sheriff's deputies fanned out across Palo, Pinto County. A helicopter swept low over the brush. Search dogs worked the property. None of it produced answers. The missing man was not an ordinary retiree. He was Major General William N. McCasland, United States Air Force, retired, former commander of the Air Force Research Laboratory at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, overseer of some of the most sensitive aerospace and weapons programs in the American military, and a figure who had recently surfaced in one of the most consequential UFO-related allegations of the modern era. His disappearance triggered alarm, not just among family and local authorities, but in a community that had been watching his name for years. The growing network of journalists, investigators, and former officials tracking what the US government knows about unidentified anomalous phenomena. To understand why his disappearance matters, you have to understand who William McCasland was. He commissioned into the Air Force in 1976 through ROTC at Texas A&M University. Over a 37-year career, he rose through the ranks of the Air Force's research and acquisition community, the part of the military that develops, tests, and fields advanced technology. His assignments read like a roadmap of America's most classified programs. He served at Kirtland Air Force Base in New Mexico, home to the Air Force's Directed Energy and Nuclear Weapons Directorates. He worked at the Pentagon in space and missile defense acquisition. He held roles tied to the Strategic Defense Initiative, the Reagan-era Star Wars program. In 2011, he was assigned command of the Air Force Research Laboratory at Wright-Patterson, a sprawling complex responsible for roughly 6,700 personnel and a budget exceeding $4 billion annually. AFRL is the Air Force's primary scientific research organization. Its portfolio spans everything from materials science to autonomous systems to, notably, aerospace sensing technologies. He retired in 2013. Wright-Patterson has been entangled with the UFO question since the beginning. In the summer of 1947, when reports of flying discs swept the nation following Kenneth Arnold's sighting near Mount Rainier and the Roswell incident in New Mexico, the Army Air Forces tasked its Technical Intelligence Center at Wright Field, the predecessor to Wright-Patterson, with analyzing the reports. That analysis became Project Sign in 1948, then Project Grusch, then Project Blue Book, which ran from 1952 to 1969. All were headquartered at Wright-Patterson. For over 2 decades, the base was the official address of the US government's UFO investigation. But the rumors went deeper. Senator Barry Goldwater, a brigadier general in the Air Force Reserve, publicly stated that he had been denied access to a classified section at Wright-Patterson alleged to contain UFO-related material. "I think it was classified above top secret," Goldwater told Larry King in 1994. The base also houses the National Air and Space Intelligence Center, NASIC, the Defense Department's primary facility for analyzing foreign aerospace threats and non-standard aerospace threats. When McCasland took command of AFRL there, he inherited not just a research laboratory, but an institution with 7 decades of proximity to the UFO question. The reason McCasland's name became known outside defense circles traces directly to Luis Lu Elizondo, the former defense intelligence officer who ran the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, AATIP, and went public in December 2017. In his 2024 memoir, Imminent, Elizondo made a series of striking claims. He described encountering resistance from specific individuals within the defense establishment who he alleged controlled access to UAP-related information and material. Elizondo identified McCasland, though the book uses careful phrasing, as a key figure in that gatekeeping apparatus. According to Elizondo, McCasland was allegedly aware of programs involving the analysis of materials of unknown origin, what some in the disclosure community refer to as exotic material or recovered non-human technology. Elizondo wrote that McCasland had communicated with him and that the general's responses suggested awareness of compartmented programs beyond what was publicly acknowledged. Elizondo did not accuse McCasland of wrongdoing. Rather, he portrayed him as someone operating within a system designed to restrict access, a system Elizondo argued was operating outside proper congressional oversight. These claims have not been independently verified through official channels. McCasland's alleged role fits within a broader pattern described by multiple sources. In July 2023, David Grusch, a former intelligence officer on the UAP task force, testified under oath before the House Oversight Committee that the United States government possesses retrieved non-human craft and biologics, and that these programs have been deliberately hidden from congressional oversight. Grusch stated he had filed a complaint with the intelligence community Inspector General, who found it credible and urgent. He described a network of legacy programs, some dating back decades, housed within defense contractors and military installations, operating under special access program protections. In the Senate, Majority Leader Chuck Schumer co-authored the UAP Disclosure Act of 2023 with Senator Mike Rounds, which would have established an independent review board with eminent domain authority over UAP-related records and material. The most aggressive provisions were stripped during conference negotiations under heavy lobbying pressure, but the legislative language itself referenced non-Earth origin or exotic UAP material and biological evidence of non-human intelligence. Wright-Patterson and the Air Force Research Laboratory, McCasland's former command, have appeared repeatedly in these discussions as alleged nodes in the retrieval and analysis network. Law enforcement sources confirmed the FBI joined the search for McCasland shortly after his disappearance was reported. That involvement is significant, though its meaning is ambiguous. The FBI routinely assists in missing persons cases, particularly when the individual has held security clearances or had access to classified information. A retired two-star general with McCasland's portfolio would automatically trigger federal interest regardless of any UAP connection. But the context is impossible to ignore. As of early 2025, the disclosure debate had intensified. The Senate was considering new UAP transparency provisions. The All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, ALARO, had published reports that critics called incomplete, and multiple whistleblowers were reportedly cooperating with the Inspector General and congressional investigators. McCasland's name had been circulating in these discussions. His sudden disappearance, without explanation, without a note, without his vehicle, created a vacuum that speculation inevitably filled. As of April 2025, Major General McCasland has not been found. No official cause for his disappearance has been announced. His family has asked for privacy. The concept of gatekeepers has become central to the disclosure debate. According to multiple sources, Elizondo, Grusch, journalist Ross Coulthart, and members of Congress, including Representatives Tim Burchett and Anna Paulina Luna, access to the most sensitive UAP-related programs is controlled by a small number of individuals, some military, some civilian, some within the private sector. These individuals allegedly operate under legacy classification authorities that predate current oversight structures. If McCasland served in such a capacity, and this remains an allegation not an established fact, his role at AFRL would have provided the institutional infrastructure. The Air Force Research Laboratory manages materials analysis, sensor development, and exotic propulsion research. It interfaces with contractors across the defense industrial base. Its classification authorities are extensive. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, who chairs the Senate Armed Services Subcommittee on Emerging Threats, has pushed for greater transparency and stated that the Department of Defense has not been fully forthcoming. In hearings throughout 2023 and 2024, multiple senators expressed frustration with what they described as institutional stonewalling. The question is not whether gatekeepers exist. Classified programs require access control by definition. The question is whether specific programs have been hidden from the people constitutionally authorized to oversee them. It is important to state clearly what is not known. We do not know why William McCasland disappeared. We do not know whether his disappearance is connected in any way to the UAP disclosure debate, to his former classified work, or to any investigation. We do not know whether he left voluntarily or under duress. We do not know his current condition. We do not have documentary proof that McCasland managed programs involving recovered non-human technology. Elizondo's claims, while compelling, are assertions in a memoir, not sworn testimony subject to cross-examination on this specific point. Grusch's testimony named no individual in open session. What we do know is this: a retired general who commanded one of the most sensitive research facilities in the American military, a facility with a 70-year connection to the UFO question, has vanished. The FBI is involved, and his name had already become part of the most significant government transparency debate since the Church Committee hearings of the 1970s. There is a version of this story that is mundane. A 71-year-old man in declining health wanders from his home in rural Texas. It is a tragedy that occurs thousands of times a year across the country, and there is a version that is extraordinary. A man who allegedly held keys to one of the most closely guarded secrets in American history disappears at the precise moment those secrets face unprecedented pressure from Congress, inspectors general, and the public. The truth may lie somewhere between those poles, or entirely outside them. But the disappearance of William McCasland is a reminder that the UAP disclosure story is not abstract. It involves real people, generals, intelligence officers, pilots, scientists, who carried real burdens of classification and secrecy, sometimes for decades. Whatever those secrets are, they have weight. They have consequences. Congress has a constitutional obligation to find out what programs exist, who authorized them, and what they contain. That obligation does not disappear when the people who might answer those questions do. The search continues. The questions remain.